right. Let's see here. All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to GPM Live with your boy Balasz W. I'm super pumped and excited to be on this call with you guys here. And it's been a minute, it's been a minute. I've been so busy. It's been dad life, and there's been a lot of things going on over here, but it's been amazing. I'm really enjoying this time with the family. My daughter Valentina is so amazing. She's such a calm little angel, and we've really been enjoying being her parents and just kind of getting things acquainted, right? It's all so brand new for Margaret and I, but it's been amazing. She turned 3 months the other day on the 4th. And so I'm really excited to be back here and have this awesome conversation around the comp plan. But before we dive into what I wanted to talk about, go ahead and comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know you're pumped. Let me know you're excited. Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling. And make sure you tag your team in the comments as well, reminding them that this is happening. I know some of you are in a different time zone and you won't be able to watch it until you catch the replay. If you do, just comment along as if it was live. Let me know you're catching the replay in the comments and where you're calling in from. And really appreciate you taking the time to watch this. And hopefully you learned something new around Enagic's incredible, life-changing wealth creation compensation plan. So with that being said, let me just make sure I can check out what's happening on Facebook. My assistant Kate's also going to be on here with us as well. So the plan is that as you guys are listening to me, if you have a question or you want me to clarify something you may not understand fully, drop a comment inside of the Facebook Live. Kate's going to be keeping an eye on things and watching. And if you see someone else's question and you have the same question, what I'd like you to do is just like the question so we get a gauge of how many other people want to know the answer to that question. And then at the end of the call, if you still have that question and I haven't answered it and I haven't covered it, then I'm going to do my best to spend some time on some Q&A. So if that sounds good and you're pumped and you understand those simple, easy instructions, just give me a fuck yeah in the comments, and let's get this party started. So when it comes to the compensation plan, the first thing that I want to mention is that if you're brand new, right, and you just recently got started with Enagic, the compensation plan is pretty complex. It's there's a lot to it, and it's very difficult to learn all of the ins and outs right away on the first day. And so don't stress out if some of this stuff isn't making sense for you, because I'm purposely trying to do a bit more of a bigger picture, more of an advanced 40,000 foot view type of conversation on this training today. And I want you to really understand what I'm saying, because if you get the vision, the bigger idea, then the details don't matter so much, because you can always pivot, you can always adjust, you can always course correct as you build your business with Enagic. It doesn't have to be necessarily the perfect strategy or the perfect plan from the first day. And it wasn't for me personally either. And so a lot of what I'm teaching, I should say all of what I'm teaching you, is from my own personal journey and my own personal experience with Enagic. And I've been doing this for almost 8 years. March 1st, 2021 will be my 8-year anniversary since I committed, keyword, committed to the business. It's not the day I purchased my machine. Those things are separate. You can purchase your machine and not be committed to the business. And so those are separate dates. But for me, I committed to building this business, whether I fucking wanted to or not, whether I, had a win or had something go wrong. Lots of things have gone wrong. Lots of things have backfired. I've been backstabbed, betrayed. People have tried to sabotage my downline, steal leaders from me, entice people, make up rumors about me, report me to the company for things I didn't do, trying to get me kicked out when I didn't deserve to be kicked out. I've really been taken through the ringer in Enagic since I started. And a lot of that had to do with the fact that I was one of the first younger generation, millennial generation business leaders in this company. And so I was a threat, even though basically a perceived threat. I was a perceived threat by some of the OGs of Enagic, some of the people that have been around this company for 10 years before I even started building the business. So they saw a threat to a new and innovative outlook. We focus more on lifestyle and travel and freedom versus just Kangen water demos, which, don't get me wrong, they work really well and it's an amazing product. And it's not to undermine the value of the product by any means. But I was dealing with younger people, people that were in student loan debt, people that were starting families and had no time for their kids and for their partner. And they wanted to see the world, but they were stuck in a 9 to 5. They were stuck in a job that didn't allow them to see the world, and so on and so forth. So for me to talk exclusively around health and disease prevention and all this kind of thing, it kind of just went over most younger people's heads who weren't dealing with any health challenges. And so I flipped the script and I started talking about the business first, because the water just naturally comes with it, right? So what I said when I started is that this is a $5,000 water filtration ionizer system, and it comes with a free global business. And all of a sudden people were like, whatever. They didn't really care. And then I started saying that it's a $5,000 global business with no limitations. You can literally earn $1 billion in commissions if you really did the work and, you know, you stuck around long enough for that to happen. It's possible in Enagic. And obviously it's not a promise or guarantee or an income claim. I'm just saying the sky's the limit. There's literally no cap on what you can create here. And then I said the water came with it, and that will help you prevent and be optimized and feel your best and sleep well and da 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 da. And it started flying like hotcakes. Exact same company, exact same products, different positioning based on my target audience. And that's why I was a threat, because we were growing exponentially fast. Then I created the trifecta, and that completely shattered the entire compensation plan. People were hitting ranks faster than ever before. Enagic, what ended up happening, which almost ruined my life, like I basically had an emotional breakdown. I couldn't handle it because I was hearing too many rumors, right? I was hearing rumors through the grapevine of the company that I was going to get kicked out, that I was breaking the rules, that the FTC was coming for me, I was going to jail. Trust me, I literally heard all the craziest shit. And for a while, I was really scared. I was really scared because I started to doubt myself. I started to be like, am I doing something wrong? I don't think I am, and so on and so on. And then I ended up talking with corporate, Mr. Oshiro himself, the founder and CEO of Enagic. And he told me, and he told my top leaders at the time that was there with me in this meeting, that his dream for this company was what we were actually doing. His dream was to be able to build outside of just friends and family, right? His dream was to grow exponentially, to leverage the power of technology, leverage the power of the internet. And no one had been doing it up until that point. And he thanked us. And it was such a trip for me. I was like, wow, all those sleepless nights, all those tears, all of those doubts, all of those fears, you know, walking around like always looking over my shoulder, being like, who's out to get me today? It was like borderline paranoia type shit for quite a while, probably a good intense 2 years, back to back to back to back. And then eventually, what happened? Well, the whole entire company flipped, right? They flipped their attitude. They started thanking me at convention. The same people that talk shit about me, I knew who they were. They started thanking me and saying, thank you for this, thank you for that, and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, that was intense. And I'm glad we're over the hump. But anytime you innovate, anytime you go against the grain, you think outside the box, you try to improve and do things differently. Some people look at that as a threat. Some people look at that as you are, you know, the scarcity and lack thinking, like just because we're thriving and kicking ass makes their team not do well, or their income is in jeopardy or whatever. And that wasn't the case at all, right? Because if you really are abundant and you really are a leader, and your plans with the Enagic are 682-3-4-5 all the way up to -8, ultimately what you have to understand is the success of all of us, it flows down, right? There's a saying that goes, a rising tide raises all the ships. And so in other words, talking about Enagic specifically is like, if one team breaks through and invents something like a trifecta, or starts building on social media, or having funnels that convert, or a webinar that works, or a new video that explains more clearly the water or the comp plan or any of the pieces of the puzzle of Enagic, that helps everybody if you are coming from the right place, right? If you really have the intention to see everybody winning and thriving, and there's only a fraction, like let's say between 1 and 2 million, somewhere in there. I don't know the most recent numbers, but let's say between 1 and 2 million machines in the world. And there's billions and billions and billions of people that haven't even heard about Enagic yet, which is crazy to think because we live in our little bubble. And when we log on to social media, everybody, typically it's an echo chamber. So you hear other people talking about Enagic, your Insta stories, Enagic, your Facebook, everything. And so you start to believe this story that isn't true, that everyone already knows about Enagic. Everybody already has a machine. Everybody blah, 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 blah. It's saturated. It's too late. I missed the boat. Balasz has been in this for 8 years. I'm in this for 8 months. I missed the boat. I should have started sooner. I can't make big money anymore. I can't reach the top. Blah, 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 blah. The stories are just kind of going and going and going. And none of that is true. We are still so early. There's still so much potential. And it literally is a blue ocean wide open for every single one of you that sees that opportunity, that sees that potential. So with that being said, my little prelogue, monologue, I don't know what any of those words mean, but the thing that is before the thing. I'm feeling good, man. It feels good to be back. Truthfully, I'm gonna have fun. I'm gonna shoot the shit with you guys. I'm gonna drop dad jokes that suck, like that last one a moment ago. But I also hope to teach you guys something new. And yeah, let's dive into things a little bit. So there's been a lot that has happened. And the point that I'm saying is that I want to share with you guys my perspective on the comp plan. If you're new and you're learning, perfectly okay. Welcome. It's so amazing that you're here. And if you don't know who I am, well, you'll probably learn who I am over time and watch some of my past training calls in this Facebook group and so on. I'm not going to get too much into my own personal results or nothing like that. It's irrelevant right now. But the big thing is there's some other calls I've done in the past on the compensation plan. Please go back and watch them. They're inside the units section of this group. I'm pretty sure I have at least one video of me talking about something in like every platform that is affiliated with my Enagic organization as well. So there's lots of stuff kind of floating around the internet, in the platforms, in the Facebook groups. Watch those calls. But what I want to tell you is this, and this is really, really important that you hear me, okay? In order to win in Enagic, you don't need to have the perfect plan. You don't need to, over analyze and be afraid that you're doing something wrong. There is not too many things that you need to do right in order for you to win big. And it's just about that consistency. It's about that dedication. It's about that continued effort and learning and improving, and basically keeping a pulse, a finger on the pulse of your Enagic organization. Don't turn a blind eye. Don't say it's good enough. Don't say that you've done your part and now it's kind of going and going. It's like you have to continuously be in the loop, in the know as best as you can, so you can understand what needs to change, how you need to adjust. So let's talk about vision and intention behind why you are here. And that is the key, because I'll tell you a little bit about my original intention when I started. So I had my machine for 5 years before I built the business, and I loved the water. It changed my life. It solved my stomach issues. And I was forever grateful to my mom, Mr. Ashiro, Kangen Water, the system. I'm naturally a loyal person. And when something literally changes my life, like I'm diehard, you cannot fuck with me. You cannot tell me it's a scam. You cannot tell me you read some fucking article or watched some video and blah, blah, blah. Like, I know for me, the truth, and that's all that matters. And literally no one on the planet, I don't care who you are, can convince me otherwise. So I already had that part going for myself in terms of loyalty, belief, unwavering 100%, the strongest belief that you could possibly had. I already had that about Enagic as a company and as a product. Where I fell short at first was I didn't believe in me. I'm going to repeat this because it's really important. And there's a lot of you on this call right now that fall into this category. I believed in the company 100%. I believed in the water 100%. I did not believe in me 100%. Okay. This is very important. So I hope you're understanding where I'm going with this. It's very, very important. And here's why. And this, some of you will relate to this. The reason I didn't believe in me when it came to Enagic as an opportunity, as a vehicle, is because I came from humble beginnings. My family didn't have that much money. Money wasn't abundant. Money wasn't easy, and it didn't flow to us. And it always seemed like something that was hard. It was a struggle. It was a challenge. It was like elusive. It was like, oh, there's the money. What? Where did it go? That's how it felt. And I didn't recognize any of these patterns or beliefs or any of this kind of shit when it was happening. I now can look back and I recognize what was happening. So it's hindsight's 2020, right? But because of that upbringing around how difficult it was to pay the bills, pay the expenses for my parents, I looked at it as going, how the fuck does someone have $5,000, $4,000, $2,000, whatever number, whatever product or machine you're selling? How does someone have that money for a water machine? Never mind the benefits. I know I'm playing devil's advocate for a second, but I'm saying like what an average person might think, right? We're like, we can't pay the bills and someone else can buy this machine. It just didn't add up for me. So then it became a thing of like, who am I who has no money, never had any experiences of a lot of money when I was a kid to be able to sell this product that is worth that much money, right? Does that make sense? So that's the reason why I tried and failed and lost belief and hope that I could build this business when we first got the machine, and it changed my life and it changed my health, and I believed in it and I knew it was real. I knew it was legitimate, and I wanted the whole world to know about it. I wanted to tell every stranger that walked past me, everybody in the store, the coffee shop, the mall, because I believed in it so much. So I didn't have sales training. I didn't have personal development, never read a book. I think I attempted to read like 2 books in my life in high school at that point. I hated reading. I didn't have any mentors in my life. Didn't even know what a mentor was, all this kind of stuff. But I had the belief. So I would just kind of just talk, right? I'd be like, man, the water, it's so badass. You put the drops in, the shit changes color, and then you're healthy. And then people are like, bro, get back on your meds. And I'm like, no, I don't need meds because I got the water now, and the water's so hydrating and I feel better and all my stomach shit's gone. Like, you got to get the water. They're like, you need meds. And it was like, fuck. So anyways, I kept trying. I had this vision. I was like, man, we're going to change the world. Everybody needs this water. Every human being's made of water. The planet is made of water. The trees and the fucking animals need water. This is it, guys. This is it. That's how convinced I was. Fell flat on my face, right? Got nowhere. Then gave up. I was like, this isn't for me. I'm going to drink the water every day. I'm going to believe in this product every single day, but I'm not going to be able to build a business. So 5 years goes by. And what happened during those 5 years? Personal development, sales training, leadership training, management training, door-to-door experience, tons and tons and tons of rejection. I got fucking beat emotionally, my ass kicked every day. I'd hang my head at the end of the day and be like, I can't believe that I just put myself through that. And people would cuss me out and say mean stuff and whatever. So I put myself through such a intense kind of like boot camp or life training or whatever you want to call it, that it was the catalyst for me to revisit Enagic and look at it from a new perspective with a new set of glasses, right? And go, whoa, I see it now because I see me differently. I believe in me. Let's fucking go. So I committed on March 1st, 2013, almost 8 years ago. Haven't looked back since. I knew it was just a matter of one foot in front of the other, one failure after the other, one lead after the other, one rejection after the other, one failed video campaign or ad or webinar. I just knew it was eventually going to happen. Excuse me. And I had that unlimited belief. So when I started, there was no trifecta, was no funnels, online, social media, lead gen, none of that. It was old school. It was word of mouth. It was two-on-one phone calls and in-person coffee shop type presentations, group presentations in person. I would present anywhere. Literally, I presented in some fucked up places. Some of you guys listening to this call, I was there with you in some pretty fucked up places. Like I drove for hours and hours. Nobody was even home when I got there. And you know what? I was only upset for a minute or two. And I was like, fuck, that fucking sucks. And I drove back home and I had the same exact enthusiasm and excitement and passion. And let's get back to it. And let's, do what we got to do to make progress the next day. You know what I'm saying? It was like nothing could get in my way. And that all came from my door-to-door experience, because someone would literally say, get a real job, you fucking loser, get off my property. And then if you let that affect you, you lost money. You understand? Because the longer you were in your head going, oh my God, I should get a real job, I'm such a loser, and listening to the opinion of some random stranger on some random street in some random neighborhood you're never going to see again, I was like, forget it. You're the man. Hit the next door and give yourself another opportunity to make money in the shortest amount of time between what just happened and your next chance. Does that make sense? Because everything in between is a waste of time. And in this business, it's the exact same thing. So if you have a bad day and you let that kind of drain you for a few days and you don't, pay attention to your business, you don't generate leads, you don't do sales calls because you're feeling sorry for yourself, right? You're having a pity party, then that's opportunity you just lost. That is opportunity and time that it's going to take you longer to hit your goals because you just wasted it on shit that's relevant. It doesn't matter. So I was like, man, I got to go. Then a few years later, we got into online and stuff after I had created the trifecta. So the reason why I'm saying all of this to you guys is because every single one of you is going to experience a challenge. Every single one of you is going to experience something that's very hard. For some of you, technology is difficult. For some of you, it's not a natural strength for you to think about funnels and ads and lead gen and this and that and webinars and Zoom, and it overwhelms you and you're like, fuck, I don't know, man, this is a lot. I promise you that it will come. It will come, right? And you have a choice. You have lots of ways that you can build this business. There's not only one way. That's really important for you to realize. There isn't one way to get leads. There isn't one way to make sales. And there isn't one way to reach 682-8 in an adjunct. There's lots of options. There's lots of variables, and there's a lot going on. So when I started this, the reason I was so key around vision, which is what we're talking about right now, I'm just kind of taking the long way to this point, is we're talking about vision is like, what do you really want to create with this opportunity? For some of you, it's just a matter of having a little side money and, being able to pay off your car loan or go on a trip with a little bit of side cash that isn't, coming out of your regular primary source of income. Nothing wrong with that. Just be clear around what that actually is. Some of you just want to kind of do this passively. When there's an opportunity that comes up in front of you, you're going to talk about the water and you're going to share the water, and then you're going to get a sale, and it's going to be very casual and occasional. And once in a while you get a sale and you don't really care whether you get one or not. Maybe you have lots of money already, and this is just like a passion, hobby, side business for you. Nothing wrong with that. Okay. This is important for you to understand. But some of you are here for something really big. Some of you are here not just for money, but you're here for impact. You're here for legacy. You're here for generational wealth. You're here because you have a very specific vision and dream that you have for your life, and you want to make that come true. So whatever that is for you, that's the first place we need to start. Because once you have that pinpoint of this is exactly where I want to go, this is exactly what this is exactly what it looks like, this is exactly that place that I need to get to, the rest of the pieces will fall into place. And the reason why this is so important is because the strategy, what do I do when I hit 4A? How do I maximize the comp plan and the bonuses and all this kind of stuff that everybody always wants to know? None of that means shit if your vision isn't clear enough for you to actually know that you will achieve something like a 6A2 where those bonuses are relevant. The bonus isn't what fuels the vision. This is important. Like, if you need to know the details of the commission or the bonus or how much money you're going to make for your vision, then that vision is kind of like not really deep enough or genuine enough or really truly your vision. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, the compensation plan is the vehicle to get you to the destination. You don't get into the vehicle first and then drive and then figure out the destination later, because then you look like a moron and you're driving around going in random directions. So the vision is clear. So what does that actually look like? And just because your vision is different than mine or someone else's doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your vision. What I think is the most important personally is that your ideal life and the life that you build match. That's it. That's really success, in my opinion. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what is success? To me, success is when you have a dream and it consists of all different areas of your life and it's very specific and it's very clear. And then you build something that matches that. So they're a match, right? And if it's a match, you win the game. So sometimes that requires like different things for different people. Like for me, a massive, massive piece, the thing that matters to me more than what a lot of people consider success is being in a position where I don't have to do anything. I get to, and if I want to, then I will. And that to me is the ultimate position of personal power. That's what matters to me the most. You know what I mean? If I want to create, if I want to work, if I want to do this GPM call, I'm here now and I'm loving every second of it. But the moment it's obligation, the moment it's I have to, it's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean I have to? I fucking decide. But if you're not in a position financially and you haven't invested correctly and saved your money correctly and set up your lifestyle correctly and hired the right people to help you and all these moving parts, which is, there's a lot to it, then you really can't act that way, or you're going to suffer. There's going to be consequences. Life's going to be difficult. So you have to until one day you don't. And that to me was a massive piece of my motivation and my ambition and my strength and my hustle, is because I wanted to get to a place where I became a dad, which happened 3 months ago. And now it's such a powerful feeling where I look at my life. I've been eliminating things. I've been selling my equity in businesses that I no longer want to be a part of. I've been eliminating and like, nope. That feels like an obligation. That feels like I have to axe that by, bring this in, take this out, just like, it's a really beautiful place. And another really big piece is that I wanted to have our time with our daughter and have support, right? Have a nanny that can take care of a lot of the things that really take time away from our daughter or take time away from each other in our marriage. Because that's really what it comes down to, right? When you have a kid or multiple kids, there's only so much time in a day. So something has to give. And that's why you see a lot of families where, the dad bod, for example. I'm like, fuck the dad bod. You know what the dad bod's going to look like? You just wait till you see me in a few months. Like, the dad bod is going to be ripped and shredded with a fucking six pack and like popping out of control in the best shape of your life. That's going to be my definition of dad bod. And then, marriages suffered. There's no more time for date night. There's no more time for intimacy and sex. There's no more time for romance. There's no more time for traveling. Why? Because there's only so much time in a day. Something has to give, right? So to me, I was like, if we have 24 hours in a day, right? Then I don't want to spend my time on cooking, cleaning, helping out my wife, doing this, doing that, whatever. But I do want to spend it with my daughter and not feel like I got to look over in the kitchen and be like, fuck, the dishes are piling up and fuck, this is a mess and whatever. So I had a very clear picture of what I wanted, and we just hired a full-time nanny. And I'm so excited because it's not the regular nanny that is like, a lot of people have an idea where the nanny like raises the kids, which nothing wrong with that. That's like what some people want. But for us, it's the opposite. We're like, let us raise our daughter more and be together with each other in like date night and whatever more, but everything else is sorted out. Everything else is taken care of. So I'm so excited. We just found like an amazing nanny. She starts on next week, Monday. And this was all what drove me to where I wanted to go. So when it came to the business, this is the most important piece that I want you to understand. In my opinion, you need 3 accounts, okay? 3 accounts. Now we're going to get into some of the specific stuff that you may not already know. If you already know this, cool. And I'm going to be frank with you and an open book with you and tell you what I believe to be the best way to do things. You need 3 accounts, okay? You need to own 3 accounts. Now, some people are going to say, oh, but what about 5? Oh, what about 7? What about 9? What about 12? What about 15? Why don't I just buy them all? Why don't I take myself to -3 by myself, right? I've heard the most ridiculous shit from people, and I'm always just like, the answer is 3. and if you're going to keep trying to challenge me and keep trying to tell me otherwise, it's your business. Do what you want to do what you want to do. At the end of the day, it doesn't really make that big of a difference to me because I built my business the right way and I got to the dashes in the shortest amount of time possible. And now people are getting there even faster and it makes me super happy. So you need 3 accounts. Okay. Now, the reason for 3 accounts is one specific thing, is the pros and cons. Let's talk about the pros and cons. Okay. So the pros of having 3 accounts is you have the top account and then you have 2 accounts that are underneath, direct to your top account. Now, some people will say, does it have to be 4A? Does it have to be 6A? What are the 2 accounts? Can it be in your 1A UConn? It doesn't really matter. At if you like go and hit 6A2-3, right? And you're looking back on your business, does it matter if it was in any of the ranks? No, it really does not in the big grand scheme of things. But does it make a difference? Yes. And there's some pros and cons there. So you have to remember is that when you hit 6A, right, you have 101 product sales. You're now, if you only have 1 account, you're now waiting for all of your directs to achieve 101 product sales to hit 6A. So you're out of any type of control. You're like, so come on, man, let get some sales going, man. Show up to the meeting. Why don't you run some ads, right? And you're kind of like an annoying fucking boss. Like you're not really a leader. You're just like, come on, man, trying to rank up and shit, like build your business, right? So it turns into a really like not a good vibe, in my opinion, to only have 1 account and have all your sales as directs. And the gap, typically by the time you reach 6A and by the time they follow suit and reach 6A, there's a long period of waiting. Okay. So that's why I don't recommend it. And it takes very similar amount of time for you to sell your directs 1 level below. So it's on the 2nd level and you're putting your directs there and you're alternating between your left leg and your right leg. Call it, position number 2 and position number 3, just to keep it simple. And you're building under that. Now, this is where people are like, well, do I buy in again at 4A? Yes, that is what I recommend. It is the best way, in my opinion, to reinvest. And there's a specific reason why, is because number 1, if you get 21 sales, you qualify for 4A. Now, this is enough sales in your business for you to recoup your initial investment in your trifecta or your quad or whatever. So you are now confident that you've had some ROI. So that's part of the reason why. So it's like you've made some money back. Awesome. Then you reinvest just like a true entrepreneur, right? A true business owner reinvests back into their business. So you've earned this money. You're like, great, I'm going to now buy an UConn, which isn't even the most expensive product, right? It's the least expensive product. And you're going to buy back in at 4A. Now, when you go 4A, which is a total of 42 products, whatever, 43 products, you're earning all 8 points. So if you do the math between what it requires for you to earn all 8 points in 1A in a second position in 1A, right? 2A, 3A, whatever, and you do the math, you tell me which one is the best. And what I mean by best is which one requires the least amount of total sales to get all 8 points max. The answer is 4A. That's the one that makes the most sense. Okay. So that's the reason why we choose 4A. Now, let me kind of go into the next thing. Some people go, oh, well, you're wasting your 1A UConn. So why don't you build under the 1A UConn? Now, there's 2 sides to this answer. The first part of the answer is you can do that. Remember what I said. You need 2 accounts to really take it all the way with an Agic, right? Or 3 accounts total, but 2 on your 2nd level that you own personally. This is what I suggest as the best solution. So if it's in your 1A, fine. 1 plus 6 is 7. You'll never earn the full 8 points. And 2, this psychologically is actually teaching people to build in a binary compensation plan model, stacking. The second you build in your 1A, your new people, especially if you're recruiting people from other MLMs, low ticket products and stuff, their mind is going to go back to what they know. And this is dangerous because Enagic isn't MLM. Enagic isn't binary. Enagic isn't 2 legs down in your 1A lanes. It's not what Enagic is. So that's the reason why we've always stayed away from that, because when you build wide, it re-engineers the mind of the new person going, I build wide, directs wide, down, wide, down. You build a massive organization. What happens is if you build in your 1A and then your new person's like, oh, how are you building your business? Like, oh yeah, so I bought a trifecta. I put my 2 products in my 1A. Then I started building underneath that. And they're going to go, oh, I'm going to build the same as you because people follow what you do, not what you say. So they're going to go, okay, let me build it down. Now what's happening? All of a sudden, 1A, there's only 8 points. Your entire organization goes too deep, too quick. You don't make any money on those sales because you basically built it in a binary strategic way, which is a low ticket MLM type of auto ship compensation plan that is not Enagic. You understand? So you have to ingrain in people from the first day that this is about direct sales and it's over and down, over and down, over and down. This is how you build a massive business. So with the 4A hack that I recommend, here's what happens. So you get started with your trifecta in your 1A lane and you automatically upgrade to 2A, okay? Now your first sale, you get double the commissions or some incentives, some perks. You feel awesome about that. You're like, holy smokes, I can make like $1,000 on my first trifecta. It's like really exciting. And then you put in another direct sale beside that and another one and another one. And you need 6 trifectas, right? That you either put in direct yourself or a cumulative with you and your team total to be qualified for 4A. So it's like there's 6 other people now that have come in minimum on trifectas. Sometimes it's more than 6 people. And these people start to build. Now, put this on the shelf for a moment, okay? Kind of forget about these people, not in a negative way, but like don't focus on this for a second. Now you hit 4A and you're like, fuck yeah, 4A hack. I'm going to reinvest my profits, reinvest my commission. I'm going to buy back in. Now your focus is on like putting directs under the 4A. And now you start to get some movement, right? Sometimes you get some leaders right away. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but regardless, you now have like 2 kind of teams. The first team are the people that were direct to your top position, right? And it's like a handful of people. And you have a second team that is now underneath your 4A. So you have 2 teams, kind of like 2 departments. It's like the A team and the B team, whatever, but they're not quite the same because these people are direct to your top and these people are under your 4A. Now, the reason why this is so key is because as soon as any of those initial people take off, you have an extra 6A bonus leg that is developing. Okay, this is important. So you now have a bonus leg that is developing that is kind of like having a backup player on the bench who you can substitute in the game and you know that they're going to play well. They're not the best player on the team, but you know they're going to play well. They're good on defense. They're going to score like 10 points a game if we're talking basketball. And it's something where you're like, I got this insurance thing that's just kind of happening and you're going to still support them and be a good upline and all that good stuff. But it's kind of in this bonus part of your business, which is direct to your top position, which matters later on when we're talking open volume and stuff, which is a little bit more advanced in the compound. We'll get to that in a bit. So that happens. You start building out your 4A. Now what you're doing is going, let me get a bunch of action happening in my 4A business until you qualify for 6A. So essentially your job is to start have leaders launch and start. Okay, that's the best case scenario. Now, a lot of people don't focus on leaders. They focus on anyone. They'll sell a machine to anybody. You know, if there's someone who's a lead, you sell them a machine. But often people get this confused between someone who's legitimately interested in the business. You can't turn a customer into a business builder or a leader with your own will. You understand? Like someone buys a machine and they go, oh, I got some stomach issues. Let me buy a machine. You look at that person and go, that's my next 6A. No, it's not your next 6A. That is a customer of the water machine who wants to fix their health problems. Let them be who they are. You understand what I'm saying? So, but what most people do wrong is they see it as an opportunity now. It's like, oh, they're so close. They've already got a machine. Let me sell them the business now. Let me convince them of the business. Let me convince them of freedom. Let me convince them that is the best thing they've ever seen in their whole life. And they're trying to turn a customer into a business builder with their will. Keep selling, keep pushing, keep selling, keep pushing, right? Follow up every day. Hey man, have you talked to your fucking mom about the water machine? Hey, have you told your best friend? Hey, have you done a Facebook ad? No. They are a customer of Kangen Water because they love the water and that's what they wanted. Make sense? So if they decide on their own terms after drinking the water and having an amazing experience and their stomach issues go away, and now they're like, wait a minute, maybe this is an incredible opportunity. Maybe this is an incredible business. Then awesome. That's a bonus. But don't try to push that on them. It's not going to end well usually. So we move on. We start focusing on leaders. We start focusing on people who want to build a business. We start focusing on people that value freedom, lifestyle, working from home, quality time with their families, being able to give back to the community, being able to give back to causes they care about, and having the right values that really are going to be a good fit with an adjunct. That's what we focus on in our 4A business. Okay. So people start building and building and building. Eventually, all of these products are going to make you qualified for 6A for your top position. Now you have an opportunity to reinvest again, like an entrepreneur would, right? You've made a bunch of commissions. It's roughly like $70,000 for an average person to earn their way to 6A in commission. So that's a pretty good chunk of money, right? It's around 70 grand. So cool. Now you can reinvest and you can buy another machine, buy another Ukon. Depending on what country you live in, sometimes you can't really have multiple Ukon accounts. Like Australia, for example, gets a little bit tricky. You got to maybe get a family member involved and you kind of got to look for some loopholes. And I'm not an expert in exactly how to do that. So if you are in one of those countries where Ukon isn't as easy to have multiple accounts like US and Canada, then you got to talk to somebody who knows exactly how to do that. I'm not necessarily the best person. But if you're in a country that supports multiple Ukon accounts, then in my opinion, I would have one in 4A and I would have one in 6A. Once again, this is just optimized. It's not the only way. And if you did it a different way and you built it under your 1A or 2A or 3A or 5A, doesn't mean your business is fucked. It doesn't mean that you can't hit the top ranks. It doesn't mean that you got to start over again. It doesn't mean any of that. It just simply means that you did it a different way and you're taking a different path. And ultimately, you can still make it to the same end destination and it's all good. Okay. So don't stress about that. Don't freak out. Don't watch a training and one person says it one way and you did it another way and I'm saying it a different way. And you're like, oh my God, it's too confusing. Just understand the key point is, in my opinion, once again, this is an opinion. This isn't the official thing. I believe, and this is what I've done in my business and it's worked out really, really well for me, is to have a top account and own 2 secondary accounts and have 3 accounts total. Not 4, not 2, not 1, not 5, not any other number out of all the numbers, 3. Okay. So if you want to listen to me, the answer is 3. Don't argue with me. Don't try to talk back. Don't try to tell me another number. If you decide to choose another number besides 3, that is your call. Okay. So let's continue. The answer is 3. And there's a reason why. If you have more later down the track, okay, later down the track, it ends up diluting your business, okay? It ends up diluting your business. It ends up stressing you out. It ends up requiring you to do more work to sustain and upkeep the requirements for some of the bonuses. So can you do more than 3? Yes. Is it going to ruin your business if you have more than 3? No. Is it going to probably be a headache for you at some point as you build to 6A2-3 and beyond? Most likely, yes, it will be a headache. And you're going to be like, fuck, we really don't need this many accounts. If we put like let's say you had 7 accounts. Okay. If you actually put the effort and energy to maintain 7 accounts into only the 3 accounts that you have, you would make more money and you'd have a more momentum and thriving 3 accounts than you would with a diluted 7 accounts. This is just how it works. Another major reason why you don't want to have more than 3 accounts is because you have a false sense of success. And this is what I mean by false sense of success. You start to get rank accomplishments that are not actually truthfully where you should be in your business. And what I mean by that is sometimes people hit 6A2 or they hit 6A2-2 or they hit 2-3 and they own all the major leadership accounts. So they own all the 6A accounts, they own all the 6A2 accounts, they own all the 6A2-2 accounts, 2-3 accounts. And the actual true leadership in their organization, in their group, hasn't actually developed to that level. So sometimes it can get to your head. Sometimes it can make you lazy. Sometimes it can make you take your foot off the gas and be like, I'm good. I've built my rank to like a high enough level. I don't have to put in the work anymore. And it can trick people with this delusion that they're further along in the business compensation plan than they truly are. And this is a big important piece as well. So the point that I'm making in all of this is you can have as many accounts as Enagic will legally let you have, right? If you have a corporation and you have an LLC, you can have 5 accounts, 5 machines and 5 Ukons. Does that mean that you should go and max out 5 accounts and 5 Ukons? Absolutely not, because then it's kind of like going, you're going to open a franchise, right? You're going to open a Subway or I don't know what everybody knows in the world. Maybe McDonald's, everybody's familiar with something like McDonald's, even though I'm not a fan of McDonald's, but let's just say you open up a McDonald's franchise and you bought 10 locations at the same time. Okay. Even if you staggered them and you bought them like every 6 months and you bought another one in 6 months, you bought another one 6 months, and you personally had to maintain all of them. Right. Yeah. So Lacey's an example. She has 8 accounts and it's Lacey. See, this is the thing too. When I'm saying a lot of this stuff, there's always like an asterisk with a grain of salt. Lacey is one of the few people, and her partner, Steven, that can probably handle and maintain something like 8 accounts, even though it's a headache, and it not like ruin their whole entire life, right? And feel like this is such a big mistake. So there's always an exception to the rule with certain unusual people. But what I like to always focus on, this is really important when you're a leader of a team, you have your own community, Facebook group, platform, anything that has influence over a group of people, you have to always remember that you want to teach what works for most people. You don't want to teach what works for the few. You know what I mean? You don't want to cater to superstars. You don't want to cater to career network marketers. You don't want to cater to people that have been in the industry for a really long time and are like professional online marketers and stuff. You don't want to cater to them. You want to cater to the new person. You want to cater to the majority. You want to cater to what's going to work for the most amount of people. And that is always tricky because you're wanting to duplicate the entire business for everybody. Yes, exactly like what Serena's saying. But what I'm saying is that 70, like there's always this balance between pros and cons of any strategy. There's no perfect strategy where you get all the benefits and no drawbacks. That's just not how life works. There's always benefits. There's always drawbacks to every single thing in life. So what I teach, what I've always stuck to since the beginning is like an 80%, 70 to 80% of what works for most people. And then there's an exception where I'll do like one-on-one consulting or coaching with somebody who's like a pro or somebody who's a leader with a large organization and they're moving them all into Enagic or something like that. And I'll cater and consult them on a high level. And that isn't going to be the mainstream training. That isn't going to be what goes into the platforms. It's not going to be what goes into the Facebook group. It's just going to hurt people because then they're going to feel like, well, that's not really realistic for me. That's not like what I should be doing. And I'm not good enough and, blah, blah, blah. And that's not actually true. So the formula that works for everyone, doesn't matter who you are, experienced or not experienced, is 3 total accounts. Okay. So let's move on a little bit. So I'm just going to end on this final point, which is, can you build in your 1A and stack? Yes. Is it going to probably hurt your organization because you're teaching them a different type of philosophy and strategy that isn't the best way to build an Agix comp plan? Yes, it's going to hurt you. Does that mean that you'll never be able to reach the top? It's hard to say. So that's the first thing. Now, let's talk about the next piece. So how do you build those two positions? Do you build them one at a time and make sure that one is rock solid and built beautifully and built perfectly, and then you move on to the other? Or do you build them simultaneously? And once again, this is my personal opinion, but the way that I've done it, that's worked really well for me, is that you're always trying to keep them equal. And they will never be equal. They'll never be equal because your business is alive, right? Some of your guys' businesses is dead. It was alive at one point and then it died. And now you have to basically rebuild it new and have life into it again. And what I mean by this is that people took the eye off the ball. People took the eye off their business. People just stopped really giving a fuck, to be honest. They distracted their downlines. They confused their downlines. They gave them multiple offers. They gave them multiple ways to make money. They did all kinds of confusing shit and their business died. And people gave up. People quit. People got confused. People are like, I'm not here for this. I'm here for an Agix. Now you're talking about some other thing. I'm done. My team's done. And in the same way that you had momentum and duplication and this great thing going on, just as fast as it grew is as fast as it fell apart, because momentum can work against you and it can also work for you. And so that's a really big clue for you guys, is that if you kind of like screw things up, your business will be dead. Okay. Now, for those people that have a business that is thriving, it means that it is alive. The reason it is alive is because it consists of so many people. And all of these people have life force energy. They're all alive as well. They have their own goals, their own dreams, their own intentions, their own motivations. They're having their own strategies, their own teams. You know what I mean? It's all alive. It's this big thing that's like boom, 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 right? That's your business. And so from month to month, excuse me, let me have some of this good. This is 9.5 for a second here. So, so good every time. So your business is alive. It consists of different people's hopes and dreams, different people's intentions, all that stuff that I just said. So every single month, you have to have a look at what's happening. You have to look at your monthly reports as a 6A2 or above. You have to see what's happening. You have to look at the month over month growth on each individual leader. This is really, really important. So let's say you have your report, right? You start getting these reports at 6A2 inside of your EAPA and Agix back office. You get a report and you see that Joe, for example, Joe's business is always maintaining around an average number of product sales a month, right? All of a sudden, there's a huge dip. It goes down 30%. It goes down 40%. Why? You need to know. So you got to reach out, get in touch, get in contact. Hey man, how's it going? Hey girl, how's it going? Right? Whatever the situation. What happened in your business this month? You know, I noticed that you maintain this. Now it is this. Did something happen? Do you want to talk about it? Do you need some help? Do you need some leadership? Do you need some coaching? You reach out, you have a conversation, right? Other times it's because someone just got promoted to the next rank. And so their numbers no longer show in the same place. Now their numbers are split between multiple people. So it actually looks like they're making less sales, but their business is actually thriving and growing and duplicating, and people are hitting 6A2 in their downlines. So it looks differently on the report. So, so you have to have a look, and you have to keep your pulse on the business. And then you have to change your strategy in real time. It's kind of like the Super Bowl, right? My favorite player, Tom Brady, just won his 7th Super Bowl yesterday, and I've watched this guy for like 20 years, right? I've paid attention to his mindset, his work ethic, his preparation, a lot of stuff, and that's the reason why I actually really love him as a player. Is that it's not just the on-field performance. There's so much more that makes him greatness the way he is, but it's the ability to adjust and to go, okay, pivot, to make a different move, to have a different focus, and not just be like, oh, well, coach told me when I was in college that every single game at the second half, this is what we have to do, right? And you're like, bro, that was fucking 20 years ago. So it's like, that's no longer necessarily the best thing that you got to do. And that's how some people build their magic business, right? Is they literally go, when I started, someone, my upline, a video, a training, whatever, told me that I'm supposed to buy in at the 4A hack. Then I'm supposed to do this at the 6A hack. And then I'm supposed to do this, right? So they have this very rigid step-by-step plan. And then all of a sudden you add life force energy into the business. You add different dynamics, different personalities, different leaders, right? All kinds of things are ever evolving, ever changing. And so the original plan might not be the best continued approach. You have to stop and take a look. And the main thing that you need to recognize is, where is the action happening? And so if there's a lot of action happening on one half of your business, there's a lot of sales going on, there's a lot of leadership, a lot of duplication, things are going really, really well, then support the people that are the main key leaders, right? Support them by letting them know, if you need anything, I got you. You want me to do training for your team, I got you, that kind of thing. Support them in that way. And then put all of your focus on your weaker side, all of your focus on the side that's missing, as soon as possible. Because if you don't, then what ends up happening is you end up building one of these fucked up comp plan, like a binary comp plan, where you have a power leg, right? You have a power leg. And when you log into your back office, it's like you have $6 billion of sales volume on the power leg. And then on your other leg, you have $758 in commission for the month. And so what is your actual commission for the month? Well, it's going to be $758 on the $6 billion leg, and your $750 from your other leg, and then you're going to get a check. And so every single month that your business is lopsided is a month that you're losing money. And the reason why I say that is because if one leg is already -2, for example, and the other side is at 6A, you could have already been -3 if this side was -2, right? Because -2 below you makes you -3, which means that you now would have been making $5,000 a month minimum, which means that you would have got your monthly bonuses and all this kind of thing. So you're actually losing money in opportunity cost because you didn't build your business in the best strategic way. Now, do I understand that there's a lot of factors and there's whatever? I get all of that. But I'm saying is, don't do it intentionally. Don't just focus on the leg that is working. Focus on catching up on the other side. Now, when it comes to leaders, guys, you want to essentially find 4 leaders. Just like I told you before, it's like, how many positions is best? And I said 3. How many leaders is best? 4. And that's minimum. So this is a little bit different than the positions, because with the positions, if you have more, it's worse usually, because it's a lot to manage and handle and put in sales and make sure everything's qualified. But with leaders, it's 4 minimum, 2 on the left, 2 on the right. And when I mean left and right, I mean under your position number 2. If you do what I recommend, it would be in your 4A lane, and your position number 3, which would be in your 6A lane. So your 4A lane and your 6A lane are position 2 and position 3, and you need 2 leaders underneath here, and you need 2 leaders underneath there. Those 4 total leaders need to do the same thing that you did. So they each own 3 accounts, and they each find 4 leaders. If you do that, you're going to be 6A2-3. So overall, it doesn't require that many people. It doesn't require, but it's hard to find these people at the same time, because how you find these leaders is on how you become, who you become over time. So typically most people, when they start, they're not able to recruit a professional career network marketer or a career online marketer, because they haven't built themselves up to that level yet. So I've talked about this on past trainings, is like, you always recruit one level below where you used to be. So the faster you level up, the faster you technically gain access to the next level below you, right? So over time, like 8 years in the game, the people that I'm going to recruit now, the people that I actually want to work with, and the people that want to work with me are going to be high caliber, self-starters, self-leaders. They understand personal growth. They've read tons of books. They've gone to tons of courses and mentorship. They have a network of people that they can call, people that trust them, and they can just go, yo, man, you got to check out this Enagic thing. I'll send you a video, watch this presentation, buy a trifecta, and let's go fucking crush it. And they go, done. It's a different level. It's not like all this skepticism and all this, like, your friends and family don't believe in you. And none of that stuff exists at a higher level, man. You're way past that shit. That's entry level BS. That is kind of like the bottom feeder mentality of society, right? They're all fighting over the scraps. You rise out of that personally, you do the work, you build yourself up, then you're flying like an eagle. You're flying above the bullshit. So when you communicate with other eagles, there's none of that, right? They're just going to go, give me the facts, man, straight shooter. What is it? How does it work? How can it benefit me? How can it benefit others? How much money can we make together? How much time will it require? Can I build my other businesses? Can I do, all these questions? And it's like a fucking 30-minute conversation. Everything's hashed out and you got a trifecta sale and they're ready to rock. It's a different level. It's a different game. So you have to build yourself up to that caliber first, right? You got to train your mind. You got to train your skills. It's like a crow who has to basically become an eagle, right? The crow goes to the gym and the eagles are jacked and the eagles are where they want to be. And they're like, fuck, what do? They put in the work. They put in the work. And I don't even know if it's possible. I don't think it's possible for a crow to literally become an eagle. But as a human being, we literally are able to become the best, right? We're able to grow and evolve and play the game at the higher level. And so ultimately, what's beautiful about this business, in my opinion, is that over time, it gets easier. And the reason it gets easier is because you put in the work to become better. And so what used to require tons of people that are not qualified and tons of sales and tons of wasted energy and tons of people that make excuses, tons of people that give up and quit and it's hard and whatever, right? It just, ew, man, it makes me feel gross just even thinking on that low energy frequency. It's like, get that out of here, because I've been there before. I know what it's like, and you have to evolve above that, right? So all of a sudden it's like you have momentum, you've made some money, you've helped other people make money, you've rank advanced, you have credentials, you have authority, you got plaques and trophies and big checks, and it gets easier, right? It gets easier. And it's really funny. Like, the analogy that I always say is, which is not funny, but it's an interesting perspective. And you hear about this all the time. And this is so similar to this business. And let me know in the comments if you think that you relate to this. So if you look at someone who is like, let's say a homeless person, okay? And there's a homeless person who's begging for money or begging for food, and they're sitting on the side of the curb in the cold, and it's like a sad scenario. A lot of human beings will walk right past them, right? They ignore them. They don't even look at them. They don't even acknowledge them. They don't even want to make eye contact. They don't even want to help, right? That's the majority of people. Yes, some people give them food. Yes, some people give them money and whatever. But the majority just like doesn't even look at them like human. They look down on them, right? And I'm not saying that's cool. That's not cool at all, but that's just how society is. Let's say that same guy or girl, doesn't matter, regardless, goes on to become a world musician or a movie star or a pro athlete or a successful entrepreneur or a business owner, or they create a startup company like a Google or a Facebook or something, like something that everybody all of a sudden knows who you are. You're like famous. Now, here's the thing. You walk into a restaurant and the owner of the restaurant goes, everybody, like, this is the VIP table, right? So they treat you differently, right? They give you like special privileges. So you sit down at a table. Then they take care of your food. They take care of your drinks. They take care of your dessert. They treat you like gold, right? They call you a limo, whatever. They want to show you so much respect, so much appreciation. And here you are as a homeless person, the same guy, and you can't even get a sandwich or a hot drink or a coffee or a jacket or something that you really, really need because people don't look at you like that. So then you have this drive, this ambition, this motivation to become successful, to become somebody. So you have all the money, all the freedom. You don't have to worry about anything. And now everybody wants to hand you stuff. And you're like, well, fuck, I worked so hard to not have to have anybody give me anything so I can support myself and pay for it and not need it, right? And now everybody wants to give it to you. So it's like this really interesting dynamic that the momentum of building an Magic is so similar. It's like when you're a 1A and I'm, I'm not saying you're homeless. It's kind of, I'm realizing now I dug myself a hole with this analogy. So I apologize. It's not what I meant, but I meant that in the beginning, you're a 1A. People don't give rookies and entry-level people at the beginning of a business much credit. They don't give you much support. They don't cheer you on. They don't believe in you. A lot of stuff is, there's a lot of, the odds are against you in every sense of the word, just like the odds are against the homeless person, if you understand where I'm going with this. So all of a sudden it's like, you have people lie to you. They say they're going to call you tomorrow. They don't. They say they're going to watch the webinar. They don't. They say they're going to buy a trifecta. They don't. They say that whatever. It's constant letdown, constant disappointment. The same way as a homeless person begging, and they look at a human being who walks past them, doesn't even fucking acknowledge them. Letdown. Next human being walks past them, doesn't acknowledge them. So my point is that it's the hardest at the start. It's the hardest at the beginning, and it always gets easier. It always gets better over time because you're elevating yourself out of that place. And so the message that I have for you is keep going regardless. Just keep going, keep working on yourself, elevate yourself, and it gets easier. And then as you continue to do this, next thing you know, people that you once used to look up to that were like untouchable, like role models, or people that you would never think of being in the same room or taking them for lunch or having a conversation because you're so far removed from where they're at or the level they're playing the game, they start wanting to work with you. They start wanting to join your business. They're the ones texting you and calling you and being like, yo, you got something that I want. You got this epic business. And you're sitting there scratching your head going, where was this shit for the first 5 years of my business where it was such a struggle, just like how it was a struggle for the homeless person to even get a hot shower. And then eventually they became self-made and super successful. And he bought a mansion that is like, like way too big and all this kind of shit. So the point that I'm making, guys, is that it feels like whoa, there goes my mic. It feels like, it's so hard and you got to talk to so many people and all this kind of thing. And then all of a sudden, everything's good to go. All right. So when it comes to the comp plan, I can go deeper, and I want to open it up to Q&A now because I did see some questions, and that will lead me back to some stuff that like people may have questions about. But like the most important piece to remember is the piece that I've already said to you, which I know some of you are like, that's not the technical stuff. That's not the rules. That's not this, that's not that. But ultimately it all comes down to your vision. Starting with your vision. What do you want to create here? For me, as soon as I committed, I'm like, I'm going to 682-8. That was me, right? And that was just like a target. It was a bullseye. It was something I could work towards. But then there was more to it. It was like a global prosperity movement. I wanted to create so many families of having freedom together and being able to travel together and like having that impact. So it trickled down, but ultimately it was like, I'm taking this thing all the way, and I'm going to find the people who want to take it all the way as well. And we're going to take it all the way together. And out of 114, or I think it's 120,000 in Enagic sales now in my business, there's probably 100, maybe, I don't know, maybe more than that, but around like 1,000 maybe of people who want to take it all the way, right? 1% of 1% like want to take this thing all the way. And that's perfectly okay. And that's more than enough. That's more than enough that you need. So the vision is first. The second piece is, how many accounts do you need to build? 3, your top one and 2 secondary ones. Doesn't matter if it's in 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, it doesn't matter how you did it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Is there an efficient, optimized, best case scenario way to do it? In my opinion, yes. Do it in 4A and do it in 6A. Me personally, I put my wife in 3A, and I put my second account in 4A, or my third account in 4A. So even me, with the success that I've created, along with all of my leaders and everything that's happened in 8 years, even me personally, I didn't have a 4A and a 6A. I had a 3A and a 4A side by side. And that's before I knew of a better, more optimized way, which I believe now is 4A and 6A. So that's the next thing. And then the last key piece is that you want to build your business as balanced as possible. So if one side takes off, put all of your energy into catching up on the other side with directs and bringing in leaders. And then you want to have 2 leaders on the left under your second position and 2 leaders on the right under your third position, minimum. Obviously, the more the better. And as soon as you have those 2 people, alternate directs, left side, right side, until you hit 6A2. And once you're in 6A2, you want to put left side, right side, one up top to your top ID. And the reason you want to put your top ID is because it opens up your open volume, and that can add thousands and thousands of dollars to your monthly and quarterly income. It's very powerful. And once you hit 6A2-3, there's some additional benefits of placing sales up top on your 6A2-3 account, which also gives you a much greater monthly and quarterly bonus. So at the end of the day, that is what is most important. Now you can get into technical things. You can get into all kinds of different strategies and quads and centuplets and all kinds of stuff. Not saying any of that stuff is right or wrong. It's simply extra. It's simply like the details that are like whatever. But if you get the gist of it and you course correct along the way because your business is alive, then you're going to make it. You're going to make it eventually, and you're going to make it all the way to the top. And so I don't think that some of the ways that certain people are teaching the comp plan are the best. But if it works for someone and it makes them happy and it makes their business grow, and they're helping other people be successful, and they're achieving the ranks, and they're, leveling up the dashes, and it's what's worked for them, then I'm not going to say that's wrong, because at the end of the day, it's working. But sometimes people have an idea that makes things more difficult, take longer, they're earning less than they could be, and they're just convinced it's a great way to do things, and they don't listen, or they don't want to follow the plan that I recommend. And like I said, we're all independent business owners. We're independent distributors, and it is up to you ultimately what you choose to do, right? But I'm just sharing with you, after 8 years, what has worked really, really well for me. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up for Q&A. I know Kate has been tracking some questions here. And so I'm going to cover these in order of how I received them. And I'll stay on here for another half hour or so and answer these questions. So first question here is, what does 3 accounts mean? Does this mean trifecta? That's a great question. So a trifecta it comes with 3 accounts. Yes, but that's not what we're talking about, because I recommend purchasing a 4th product and then a 5th product. But the first 2 products you're not building as a business. So technically they're like, those 2 are a customer account, and the 4A and the 6A are business accounts. So you end up not focusing on your 1A lanes, which is what I recommend is the best way, because it doesn't create that stacking binary vibe, which can really hurt you as it duplicates. Some things don't make sense, but like, for example, some things that I teach, people are like, no, I think I have a better way. I think stacking in the 1A is smarter. And then when you zoom out and you go, what if 100,000 people did that? All of a sudden, it's a terrible idea. And this is the reason why you want to listen to somebody who's been in the game for 8 years, who's seen a lot of things done incorrectly, or maybe not incorrectly, but not in the most efficient, optimized way, learn from that, and is now able to teach something different. Because not only do I have the plan here, I now have the results, and I'm here and I can look back and go, does this plan still make the most sense? And that's what I'm teaching you now, is about the plan that makes the most sense. So to answer that question, 3 accounts means 3 positions that you're building, 3 products that you're building as a business. And I recommend your top ID, and then your 4A and your 6A. Those are the 3. And then the 1A positions, they filled your 1A and you leave it at that. And you build over, wide, and down, over, wide, and down. So the top account is initial, second in your 4A. Yes, I just answered that. Curious on the benefits of a quad strategy right off the bat. Does this get you all 8 points on your 24 sale? So what a quad strategy is good for is it does work, and it is helpful for some people, but it is one of those things where sometimes it can really make the new people feel like they don't have enough credit or money, or they're not ready to start. So what I find is a lot of people will wait to like save up so they can start with a quad, and that time that they're waiting, they could have already been building and already been further along. Often it's also the fact that they're buying like a machine that they don't really have a use for. Like before, if you had a secondary machine, you can lend it out as a loaner machine. Now, I don't know if people are doing that as much because of COVID stuff, and people are afraid to afraid of life at this point, a lot of people. So I think the quad works. I think it's a good strategy. I think the trifecta is like the tried and tested and true best way to do it. And like I mentioned, for 80% of people, the trifecta is going to be the best option. And for 20%, maybe 30%, the quad is an option that they can focus on. When it comes to all 8 points on your 24 sale, I'm not exactly sure. I don't think so. I'd have to do the math. I'm not 100% on that because I can't do the math that fast, but I believe that, I don't know if you can get there quicker if you sell 24 quads. I'm not sure how that math adds up, but someone else can answer that question. I'm not too sure. Someone's asking, if we are stacking under the 1A Ukon now, should we stop after it's permanent and then just reinvest at 4A? I don't think you need to stop that. I think it depends on what's happening under the business. So if you have a 1A Ukon and you're putting sales under that, and there's no leaders and nothing's really happening, then it's like a questionable thing. Like, do you want to sacrifice and waste those products that are going to help promote that 1A account to 6A? Because let's say you have 10 sales or 20 sales, 30 sales, whatever the number is. If you started over again and you left that one, then those products go to waste because they don't contribute to a 6A rank or qualifying you for a 6A rank. So I would probably just continue and build it to 6A. And then you can build another one in 4A, or you can start another one in 4A. So you can have the 1A, like you're doing your thing, then you're qualified for 4A, you buy in again in 4A, and then you have your 1A and your 4A that you built, and you don't necessarily need one in your 6A. If you decided to buy one in your 6A, that would be 4 accounts, and that's not what I recommend. I recommend 3 accounts. So it's okay. Like I said, it's not the end of the world if you did it in your 1A. It's just not optimized, and it's not the most efficient because of 2 reasons. Number one, you're kind of teaching stack and build straight down in your 1A, which is not the Enagic optimized comp plan way to teach from my experience. And number 2, you'll never be able to make all 8 points on that because 1 plus 6 will be the max. So you'll get 7 points. Also, not like the biggest deal, right? 1 point would go to your upline, but it's still not the best or most efficient. All right. So I recommend 4A Ukon to rebuy in rather than building in your 1A Ukon. Yes. I know people try to argue, oh, now there's going to be sales in your top account that are not contributing towards your promotion to 6A. But down the track, like 3 years from now, having people that are building in your top lane and they're not underneath the secondary or third account is actually a really good thing. And it's a bonus. And it allows you to rank advance to 6A3, 6A4, 6A5. And so it's actually a really good thing. It just, in the short term, feels like not the best way to go. But in the long term, if you do have anybody who emerges as a leader and duplicates, it's a huge benefit to your business to have that long term. What qualifications are required in order for you to receive 5K monthly residual for life? The main thing is you need to have an active organization. So your business needs to be alive, basically. If your business basically dies, then they'll just pay you like the 5K like minimally, but you want to have a thriving business because the 5K is like the minimum, right? You want it to grow bigger and you want Enagic to like continue paying you that. In terms of qualifications, the main one is that you're not in any other network marketing company. You're not building any other network marketing company, and you're loyal and still like considered active in the business. That's like the main thing. So if you put in like 1 direct sale a year, it's not optimized or ideal, but you would be considered active, and keeping your Ukon account is an easy way to remain active also, because it's the same benefits as keeping your special point active. Is like it renews, it shows that you're still taking the products. It gives Enagic like, oh yeah, they still care about Ukon, they still care about Enagic. So for sure, never cancel your Ukon. As like one of the most golden rules of the comp plan is never cancel Ukon. But yeah, that's the main thing. They want loyalty, right? They want to know that you're dedicated and loyal, and like, yeah, this whole idea around build multiple streams of income and build multiple MLMs is a bunch of horseshit. It really is. There are lots of ways that you can have multiple streams of income without needing to be in multiple MLMs. That's the truth. So if you're somebody who's like an MLM junkie and wants to get into every single freaking MLM flavor of the month thing, it will hurt you. It will hurt you in the sense that people won't take you as seriously. They're going to look at you as like somebody who kind of peddles anything and everything for personal gain, because the only reason someone is in multiple MLMs is to get that like personal gain from other things. Even though I know there's great products out there, I know there's great services out there in an MLM model, but there's also those same types of products and services in a model that isn't MLM, and you can still get the benefits from it. It's just kind of like trying to argue, well, you could be married and like have a side chick, You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. And it's like, yeah, you could, but is your wife going to be stoked about that? Or your husband? If you have is it called a side dude? I don't think I've ever said that in my life, but is it called a side dude? What do chicks call that? Side chick and side dude? Kind of sounds funny. But anyway, regardless of gender, regardless of girl or guy, is not the point. The point is that you want to be loyal, man. You want to have that dedication, and then you want to grow your income to be able to, invest in other streams of income and other assets that produce another stream of income that is not an MLM. That's what I'm doing. If you guys saw what I've done with my Magic Income, what I've turned it into, you'd lose it. You wouldn't even believe it to be true. Maybe at some point in the future, I'll release like a program or a training that kind of opens up the generational wealth and legacy piece that I've been working on. For those of you that may be interested in that, but it's going to be high level. There's going to be a separate cost to that because I've invested like hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn that stuff. But it's, anyways, it's huge what's possible, and it involves no other MLMs whatsoever. All right. My husband just got to 4A under my 4A Ukon. Should I do this hack for him? That's a great question, actually. I'll repeat that one more time. My husband just got to 4A under my 4A. Should I do this hack for him? So the main thing that you got to remember is that if you're building with your spouse, okay? If you're building with your spouse and both of you are actually putting in the effort and putting in the energy, then you are running the same play. So you're running the same sort of basic foundation and setup. So yes, you would each separately have the 3 accounts. And obviously, since one of you got in first, this one would be like underneath this one. So you'd have 3 accounts in one and 3 accounts in another. But if your husband isn't building and you just placed him in there to build a business, then in that case, I wouldn't. Then in that case, what I would do instead is I would just stick to the original plan and have the hack that I'm talking about, which is the 3 accounts. I would just have one of them, just like how I have my wife in my 3A. I would have your husband in the 4A, and then I would just look for leaders underneath, which is what I did as well, versus duplicating that one more time, because then it turns into you having 6 accounts, which is more than 3, which is what isn't ideal. And then you're managing way more than you have to. So personally, that's how I would do it. If he's building it as a business owner, putting in all the work, do the exact same plan. And if not, then keep it as just one side of the business. If we started with a trifecta and opened a second position at 4A, do you ever go back to the 1A position and build on that? No. No, you don't. No, you do not, because then it kind of defeats the whole point. So like I said, in the short term, people are like, it makes more sense to build in the 1A. Sometimes people argue that, which I understand their perspective, but in the long term, it ends up being more of a win-win to not build down in the 1A and instead over 4A, down, over, right? Someone says, if you've already built a strong 2A Ukon leg, where best in your opinion for the second Ukon position? 4A, 5A, or 6A? Any of them is fine. Like it really depends. The main thing that I would look at there, when you say built a strong 2A Ukon leg, my interpretation, excuse me. My interpretation of that is that you have some leaders under there that are producing and duplicating, which is what makes the leg strong. So then I would play catch up immediately, because what's happening if it's strong is that it's duplicating, it's growing, and you need to have your next leg growing and catching up to that leg ASAP. So if you're 4A qualified as your maximum, like you're 4A qualified now, immediately put it in and get started on catching up. If you're already 5A qualified or you're already 6A qualified, immediately put it in and catch up. But you want to have a second strong leg that is building towards, you know, the dashes as soon as possible. Those are all the questions that I have from Kate. Is there any other ones that you guys have that I can answer, or is this clear and it wraps things up pretty good? Yeah, for those of you that want to put in your spouse or like a family member, your mom, your dad, whatever, whoever you love and want to like give them a position or give back to them with some commissions or whatever, then typically the best way to do that is just one of those secondary spots. So either position number 2 or position number 3, you can either put them in there or you can put them in underneath there, and that wouldn't be considered one of the 3 because you own 3. And so now you're putting in a family member underneath one of those 3 and then using that as one of the 4 leaders to build underneath that. So that's getting a little bit more complex. But most of the time, the best case scenario is to just have, if it's your spouse, putting them in on the left side or the right side. I wouldn't do that with like boyfriends or girlfriends, because it can get messy. It can get messy if you guys break up and you're not together for the long term. So I personally wouldn't recommend it for anybody unless you're like for sure know that you're building a life together long term. Then yes, otherwise it ends up being like you're mixing business with pleasure, and then the pleasure thing doesn't work out, and then they're still forever involved in your magic business, or you got to buy them out, or it gets a little bit complicated and messy. So I've seen that happen a lot of times. So I'm just saying that almost from a word of caution. I'm not trying to say you're not going to stay together or like anything like that. It's just a bit of a word of caution is I would avoid that unless it's for sure rock solid. Baby's father, awesome, cool. Like I said, move forward at your own discretion. Megan says, advice on for someone who's like, you know, new and don't have the credentials or the success yet. The best advice that I have for someone who doesn't have a lot of sales or made money or commissions or rank advanced or any of the stuff that kind of makes you feel accomplished is primarily talking about the things that have nothing to do with money. So I talked about this in my Diamond Life mentorship program recently, and I was talking about how when you join this business, you join, usually a lot of people will join to make money, right? Or to quit their job or have freedom. So it's a lot of like financial related stuff. And then you get a surprise. And the surprise is you have to change. You have to break out of old patterns and limiting beliefs and look at the world differently and reimagine the way that things could possibly be. So there's a lot of breakdown of who you once were and then rebuild who you want to become. So this transforms people's lives, transforms everything about them, their belief system, their values, their outlook, their, you know, their attitude. They're grateful all of a sudden, they're optimistic all of a sudden, they're compassionate all of a sudden, they're caring and loving, and you know, just completely shifts who they are. That's priceless. And so in the beginning, when you don't have sales, talk about that. Talk about it transparently and say, I joined this to make money, and these are my goals, and I know where I'm going, and this is my vision. This is where I'm headed. But I also want to talk about what's happened and my outlook on life and the way I treat my friends and my family and the way that I show up in the world and so on. And I'm so grateful that I got involved because this has been a blessing that I wasn't even expecting. And it's made the investment worthwhile. It's completely changed my life. And I haven't even made the money that I'm going to make yet and like really made a big impact yet, but I'm going to. And so if you want to transform your life and you want to become a better version of yourself, this business will allow you to do that as you learn the skills and as you shift your mindset and as you shift who you are into being someone of value and giving value and then receiving value in monetary ways with money and commissions. Come join me. If you've always known that you are capable of more than you are showing now, come join me. Come check this thing out. Message me. Let's talk. And so you're selling them on the transformation, not on the making the money. And therefore you don't have to try to justify how much you've made or not made, because that's not even what the conversation is about. The conversation is about life transformation. And then you go, hey, by the way, there's this really cool bonus, is that the more we transform, the more we evolve, the better that we get. We eventually start to see that in a financial reward as well. And so let's lock arms and let's do the damn thing together. So that's what I would say. Any other questions, or wrap this up here? And one last thing I will mention regarding comp plan related stuff is that we're working on a document, and it's going to be more of it's going to be like an ebook kind of thing, where there's going to be a table of contents with like very specific frequently asked questions and like stuff around comp plan and strategy and what do you do if this happens and what do you do if your business is like that, whatever type of questions. And we're going to turn it into a document, which is currently happening now. It's already being worked on, and we're going to release that to the community. And then you'll be able to share that with your teams and reference it and just go straight to what you need versus watching like 5-6 hours of comp plan trainings and having, sifting and sorting through stuff. And it's harder to kind of get the specific information when it's video versus a document. So that's something that is being worked on. For any questions that maybe weren't answered for you today. I'm glad that you guys enjoyed the call. Please leave me a comment around what your favorite piece of information was, what maybe shifted your mind or made you look at things differently, or anything that was like the highlight for you. If you haven't already done that, that's always awesome. Leave that in the comments. And I'll be back. I think I'm planning to do a call like this in the community like once a month for now, as I don't want to overload my calendar with work-related stuff right now. We're still very much managing being new parents, and it's been going amazing. Our nanny starts on the 16th, and she's going to be full-time 9 hours a day, Monday through Friday. So that's going to help with so much, of course. So very, very excited about that. And then as that develops and we get a really good routine going and everything gets ironed out and it's smooth sailing, then I'll reassess kind of what I want to do for creation and business stuff. Cause I love this, I love Enagic. I love you guys. I love GPM. I love everything that I do here. But I've worked for 8 years to not have to do this, in the sense of obligation or like a regular routine. So I'm just taking a little bit of time. I love what you guys are all doing. The rank advancements are insane. We officially crossed 600. We have 602 people that are 6A now in my team, which is wild, incredible, and so proud of all you guys. We're just smashing ranks every single month. So keep doing what you're doing. For those of you that haven't had any sales or you've been in this for a while, remember the true value in it before you make the sales, before you make the money, is the transformation of who you've become. And the way you see the world and all the learning and growing that you're doing, being on calls like this, starting to see the world differently, showing up differently, being positive, being optimistic, having a better attitude about life, having a better attitude during like all this craziness in the world with pandemics and COVID and government and presidents are changing. And there's a lot of fucking shit, and if you have a poor mindset and you have a poor attitude and you focus on the wrong things, it's so much that it ruins lives. It really does. It ruins lives because people feel like there's no hope. People feel like they don't have a chance. People feel like it's doom and gloom and the world's coming to an end and really, really negative stuff. And when you are in this community and you do the work and you're reading the books that you need to learn, and all of a sudden you can kind of separate the bullshit from the facts, and you can be a critical thinker, think for yourself, do your own research, get your own information. Don't just believe what the masses are peddling. And that in and of itself is easily worth the cost of a trifecta, right? Easily worth the cost of the products or the investment that you made. But that's obviously just the tip of the iceberg. And there's so much more that's available here. So keep doing what you're doing, guys. It takes time. If you're in it for the long haul, I promise you that there is no greater ROI than what you can create here for yourself in terms of what you put in. And it has the potential to create generational wealth if you take this and do the right things with your money, do the right things with how you structure your lifestyle, your expenses. And it's pretty deep. Like I said, I'm going to be releasing some stuff on what I've been working on, because for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been exclusively studying legacy wealth, generational wealth, asset protection, a lot of really cool topics, but it's all possible because of the 5 years I put into Enagic and everything that I created. And then it started to grow. And that's exactly what's possible for you as well. So much love to you guys. I'm excited and looking forward to seeing you all again soon on the next call. In the meantime, keep kicking ass, keep being awesome, keep spreading your light and your positivity with the world, and be that hope and inspiration in a time where so many people are focusing on all the garbage and negativity and the bullshit. Don't let that be you. And let's continue making 2021 the best year we've ever had together, and go from there. All right. So much love to you guys. I'll see you on the next call, and keep crushing it. I see all your guys' positivity. I do my best to see everything. So keep doing that, and we'll catch up soon. All right. Have a good night. Have a good day. Bye-bye.